Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess. Today we are at the next topic, that is we are looking at one of my games where a standard theoretical exchange sacrifice occurs. This game was played in the year 2006 at the Hyderabad International GM event. My opponent was somewhat lower rated as compared to me. His rating was around 1900 to 2000 range. Let's get to the game quickly and see what kind of theoretical position occurs. E4, E6, D4, D5. As I have discussed before, I used to mainly play the French defense against E4 as black. Here white goes with the move ND2, so called the Tarrasch variation. Black has here NF6, DE and C5. Most of the time I have only played NF6 as black. Black allows E5, knight D7 and soon breaks the center with C5. White goes BD3, C5, C3, keeping the center intact, knight C6, and here one of the main lines is NE2, so that if QB6 comes, the other knight can go to F3 and support D4. Here black goes with the standard move CD4. CD4, this move is very important before playing F6. From this variation we will come to know why CD4 is very important. Here white has a very interesting sideline. He has the move NF4, which my opponent chose to play, trying to exploit this diagonal. Now the queen h5 check is very dangerous, and it looks like what can black do. See, if there were the c pawns over here, black could have never played nd4 here, because e6 is also hanging. So black has to handle two things here. One, he cannot allow an e6. Let's say to some move like g6 there can be an e6, and he has to also stop qh5 check. We can clearly see defending both is not possible. So knight d4, we enter a sharp theoretical position with various complications. Queen h5 check, and it's evident that black is about to lose his castling right. He is going to lose his exchange, and things look very difficult at first. Because if g6, then just knight g6 hg queen h8, or g6 just bg6 hg queen h8 is winning for white. But here black incidentally has the very strange ke7. Point is that he is ready to give up ng6 hg queen h8, because then knight e5, and black is absolutely, we can say, almost clearly better over there. So white will have to use the move ef6 check. Here there is a small nuance here. First, ef6 is far better, because after ef6 check, king takes f6 is not possible because of the tactical idea knight d5, e takes d5, qh4 check, very strong, exploiting this diagonal. Now g5 forced, when queen d4 check, forcing knight e5, and then nf3, and white wins instantly. Thus ef6, nf6 happens to be the superior continuation. My opponent went with the move knight g6, h takes g6, and now he played e takes f6. Although I still played the move nf6, because perhaps I was quite confused over here whether to do nf6 or kf6, but theory says kf6. The point is that after kf6 queen h8, this knight can go to c5 and black gets the move e5. So technically this kf6 is a better move order, but I transposed after nf6 queen takes h8 to the other move order now, kf7. This move is almost forced and absolutely necessary. Firstly, the king becomes safe, opens this bishop, supports the g6 pawn, and stops the movement of this knight to b3 or f3, because bb4 check and the queen is lost. So white's queen on h8 although looks very active, but is misplaced in some cases. We should try to configure now what exactly black has got for the exchange. Firstly, there is one pawn for exchange. He has better center control. Center pawns are going to move now. e5, e4 can almost come by force, and his other pieces which are still undeveloped will try to occupy good places. Like after e5, this bishop can go to f5, the other bishop can go to c5, queen can go to b6. Little bit of planning is required. In many cases, the trade of queens allows very good and decent play to black because of his past d pawn. That is even in the extreme endgames as well. Here white goes castle, most obvious move e5. So far everything is theory, and here white has choice between knight b3 and knight f3. opponent is playing properly so far, and still we can say that the position requires some proper play. White went with the move nf3. Very logical, because after nf3, gf3, what happens here? Although the king looks a bit open, but playing e4, d4 becomes little more difficult. Means creating of passer in the center becomes slightly difficult. This nb3 thing is that after knight takes b3, a takes b3, black often readily trades bishop f5, bishop takes f5, g takes f5. Then queen can occupy the b6 square, rook goes to d8, and the d pawn is ready to march. The d and e pawns will start advancing, and the position can become little better for black. Here b2 and b3 are somewhat weak as well. In the game, opponent played nf3, knight takes f3 check, g takes f3, bishop f5. Absolutely standard theory over here. I knew some more theory in this position. Bishop takes f5, g takes f5. Here bishop g5 is perfectly playable. Black can go with the move qb6 here. When after bishop f6, queen f6, queen h5 check, qg6, queens can be traded. Black can go with the move rook c8 also. Black can simply trade the queens here as well. Queen d8, rook d8, rook c1, bb6, stopping rc7. Then he starts the advance of the d and e pawns. These all kinds of play are possible with queens, without queens. Both kind of play is possible. Since this is not a theoretical discussion of this opening, I am not going into too much details of the variations here. All I want to say is that one pawn for exchange and this d passed pawn makes black's play very comfortable. So we can sum it up that this sacrifice is more of a positional in nature. White went with the move be2. According to me, this is the first very serious mistake, and things start to become very difficult for white from here on. Black to play. Black has two main candidate moves here. One is rook c8, which I played in the game. There is the move bishop c5. When queen d8, rook d8 also offers very good play. And the move d4, which looks very good at first, but the move d4, if played untimely, can be very hasty, because after bishop g5, rooks can come to d1 and c1, maybe rook f d1, rook a c1, and the d pawn will not advance further. So that will make black's task more difficult. So he should not hurry to push these pawns. So rook c8 has a simple idea. Rook is now trying to enter c2. White goes rook d1. Actually, the position has almost collapsed here itself. Right after the opening, we see because of the move be2, black's play becomes almost winning. Rook c2, good move. Now, if rook d2, queen a5, very strong and effective, because after rook takes c2, queen e1 check, bishop f1, bishop takes c2, bishop d3 is coming, and the bishop is heading to c5. And because of the pin on the first rank here, the bishop and rook are struggling. All white pieces are at various corners of the board. So the position, we can say, is totally uncoordinated. White went with the move bishop d3. I went with the move rook f2. Simple tactic. If king takes f2, then bishop c5 moves with a check, and the queen on h8 is lost. And after the moves bishop f5, gf5, bg5, rook takes f3. Here also serious problems, because again bishop c5 check is there, so no bf6 idea. Queen h5 check, winning the rook, because bishop f6, bc5 check, instantly queen is lost. And we can see the massive pawns which are about to advance further, and the poor king position for white. Black king is far more safer than the white king, we can say now. So this position is winning for black. Since I am offering my second rook here, my opponent chose to play the move queen takes f8. So what happens here is, after king f8 or queen f8, king takes f2, we see that there are two rooks for the queen in that position, and it looks like a decent way to give resistance. King takes f8, queen f8 is not that good, queen wants to come to b6. So after king f8, main idea is that qb6 check, bishop e3 would be met by qb2. So that is the main point. And now king has only place on g2. King f1 can be countered both ways, bh3 check also, or the simpler bd3, rook d3, q6 or b5, forcing k to e4, and the pinned rook is lost next move after fe4, de4. White went kg2 of course. Black can consider the move e4, but I chose to play qd4, trying to make things as forced as possible. Now the bishop is pinned and it's attacked twice. So after bishop c2, I had seen the idea qc4, when bishop f5 is met by queen e2 check and the rook is lost. So this forces bishop e2, queen h4. Basically it was the idea to transfer the queen to the king side. Bishop e3, trying to bring his pieces out. Mainly white is suffering because of his poor king and yet to develop, that is the undeveloped pieces. Bishop h3 check, king goes to g1, d4. Perhaps it was forced to play the move bd2, stopping qg5 check. Bishop f2, qg5 check. He chose to resign. Position is totally losing. The point is that after the only move bg3, king h1 allows qg2 mate. bg3, there is the simple queen e3 check. Bishop f2, queen takes c2. If rook c1, then queen f3, and soon mate follows on g2 as rook c8 can be made simply by knight e8. Even kf7 works. So black will win very easily. The idea is to cover same type of patterns which we see in other players' games. That is, through my games I am trying to show, so that we can relate to it. And of course I will have many games where I have lost the games also, because it shows how the style develops over a period of time. I hope you will find the lesson useful and instructive. Thanks for your time.